if you're very careful using a good quality pot noodle plus a few additional chilies, maybe a bit of pak choy or seaweed, you can make what would appear to be a very, very convincing ramen noodle bowl. And you've cheated, but you needn't tell anybody that. Faking it in the kitchen is an essential kitchen skill, and I think you can be very convincing as a chef. Drink copiously and in a quite loose and casual way, because that makes it look like you're totally relaxed about what you're doing. Sharpen things regularly and with a flourish. Don't use one of those little knife sharpeners that get a prop steel and go now and then. Have an apron or some cooking clothes that have some proper food medals on, big splashes of gravy, wine, cheese sauce, curry paste, all that sort of thing. Look as if you've been doing it for a long time, and then people will be convinced. It may even make your food taste better, because a lot of it is up here. I've never had a serious kitchen disaster. The ones that spring to mind are, the usual things about the top flying off the food mixer and custard or whatever going all over my face and all over the wall. And most famously, when I was a student, putting a massive turkey into roast for our Call of Residence Christmas lunch at the end of term, and then going off to play five-a-side football and go on a pub crawl for 6 hours, and then coming back to realise I hadn't turned the cooker on at the wall, and everything in the cooker was still completely raw. Well, the most depressing thing I've ever cooked for myself, but I do remember when I first moved into my house in Hammersmith, I didn't like the kitchen. I mentioned this in the book. I didn't like the kitchen that I'd inherited with the house. It was all a bit sort of knotty and tiley and a bit twee. And one night after the pub, I make it sound like everything in my life happens after I've been to a pub, but I was at the pub with my American mate Stanley. We went back to my house and we decided in that moment that the kitchen wasn't for me, so we removed it all. And all I was left with was a standpipe coming out of the wall, which you could turn on and off with the stopcock. And I had a little single ring camping stove, which I'd had for years, which I put on the kitchen table. So that was my cooker, and my tap was this piece of old pipe coming out of the wall. And I remember one other evening when I was in on my own, because I was having to do some work for one of the magazines I worked on, and I was thinking I really must eat. And I had a tin of Heinz beans and sausages, the one where the little red sausages, and I normally like those. I remember sitting there watching them bubble slightly and thinking, I'm not saying I'm a great achiever, but I had been working quite hard at my job, and I thought I was finally making some progress in life at the age of whatever I was then, about 33. And this is what I've got. It's difficult for me to say what you should do if you're in any way advanced at cooking, because I'm not there yet. But I would say if you use my book, plug, it is, you could have a go at some of the store cupboard saviours. If you're very careful using a good quality pot noodle plus a few additional chilies, maybe a bit of pak choy or seaweed, about a bit of maybe leftover roast chicken to it, you can make what will appear to be a very, very convincing ramen noodle bowl. And you've cheated, but you needn't tell anybody that. So the things you should always have in the cupboard for emergencies are, you should always have a bag of pasta, you should always have some mango chutney, always have some ginger and garlic, because they can hide a multitude of sins. Did I say a bag of pasta? Just in case I didn't have another bag of pasta, because you generally have too much. That's about it, really. Oh, tomato puree is a good one. Some sort of tinned meat like Spam, Prince's ham, corned beef, hot dog sausages, something like that. There is a lot of snobbery about tinned products in general, Spam, corned beef, that sort of thing. But the fact is, a lot of young people I know get annoyed at me for saying this. They're safe in that you can leave them in the cupboard for 10 years. I've eaten Prince's ham that had been in a tin for 25 years, and it was absolutely fine. So they're safe, they're always there. You don't have to worry about eating them in time, or if they're going to go off, they can sit there until the emergency happens. It's a bit like the airbag in your car. You don't really want to see it, but it's nice to know that it's there.